I want like a beef form of Shohei Ohtani, just a ground beef sitting here, and we pick at it. We call it show meat Ohtani, and we just keep, I'm ripping off an arm, and we got to eat the whole, every
time we do the segment, we have to wheel in what's left of show meat Ohtani.
Every time you say show meat, I can't get out of my head. A couple pimentos as the eyes.
Show meat Ohtani is one of my favorite things you've ever said.
Angel's cap on
The Nielsen Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings at 6, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio. Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for the Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District. Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
All right, you're watching the Hangout, listening to the EST Hangout. If you're driving on your way to work, good day. Happy Thursday as we get set for another wonderful Thursday in and around our lovely city. Tom Gazzola alongside Dave Muddle, Dave Cooper, and the one and only Joaquin Gage on today's Hangout. Join the conversation as always. Text us 780-218-9999, and somebody will be monitoring. I think Owanik's going to be monitoring the nasty chat. He's out of the shot, but he's just, there he is. He's literally sitting right there today. All right, boys, lots to talk about. Thank you for coming in. I should give you guys a backgrounder on what Dave Muddle, Dave Cooper are up to. You guys are doing ZerOne. It's a huge hockey concept. Dave, if you want to give us a bit of an outline on what it is, because I'm watching the video yesterday on the Performance Center. I don't know how you want to describe it, or if you guys have come up with a name for it, but you guys are doing this out of West Edmonton Mall. Coop's involved. Obviously, we have a lot of great hockey minds in this city and our province too, but give us the down low on what's going on with ZerOne and the whole hockeyology concept. And talk into the mic really closely.
This close?
Bring it closer.
Closer,
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it, Dave.
So it started a little smaller than it became, but it is a concept that basically we recognized that hockey development and training hadn't really launched into the 21st century. So we had this idea that we would get our own ice. We would put technology and AI and everything that we could around it so that people could go from a baseline that they define to their best. And in particular, we wanted to focus on youth and young kids, particularly before they start streaming into the elite play. And we wanted to create an experience that was exceptional for them. So that's the original concept, and that's where we started. And then as we went along, we started adding things to it to make it the experience exceptional. And so we've got cool retail partnerships. We've got some media link ups. We've got some opportunities around athletic care, so sports medicine, sports therapy, and we're building a second component, which is a sports and athlete-focused medical clinic that's multidisciplinary. Wow. So it's huge and daunting, but also incredibly exciting.
Well, you've got Coop in on it as well. Like, how big is the team? Coop, what got you involved with it? What made you say, you know what, I want to do this because it sounds amazing and hasn't really been done before? I was watching the video, the concept video with the renderings. Like, I just looked at it, like it looked like a super hockey facility, but you got to have the staff, you got to have the right people, you got to have the medical team, like Dave was talking about. But what drew you in?
Good question. Dave Muddle.
No.
He was but we started it. The vision came, a few years back, and then as we've worked through it over the over the course of a couple of years now, it's kind of evolved and grown from a lot of different minds coming in, going here, tweak this, do this, to even sitting there back in the day when we sat in Dave Gurmezian's office to say, hey, should we
do something like this?
Should we do something like this?
Yeah.
We had it all planned out where it was synthetic ice. And he said, why are you doing synthetic ice? I said, well, I didn't know we could do anything else. He's like, we can do whatever we want. We're West Edmonton Mall.
Right. Well, there's some big spots. Like, obviously, Dave, like, that area is going to be massive. So you're going to put real ice into this facility. That also drew you in. What else did you say? Okay, we've got something really good here. But the fact that you guys have to pull it all together, I couldn't imagine was easy as well.
No, it was kind of, it was just after COVID. So when we first kind of, stepped into the ring on this and kept real estate was at a different point at the mall when we started negotiating there. And then it became where we realized we needed ice. So we were going to do it way out in a warehouse, in some other spot in the city.
You just find a spot, kind of thing.
Which then we realized in a hurry that we need ice. And the best way to do it and every component that we were adding to it would be wiser to do it near ice. So we had we could use the ice palace, young kids, at the same time do a lot of different events. And then as we kept going, building out 2 mini rinks and moving from there, it became, okay, well, let's do retail. Let's make sure we make it a one-stop shop and
dryland training,
true movement,
functional movement.
Yeah. And then the physio kind of came about, and as in the Broncos of the world, and then here we are, where and putting it all together.
Dave Muddle, I'll ask you this: now that you guys are starting to realize this vision, when people that are just learning about this go, well, how do I get my kid involved, or how do I know my kid is good for ZerOne, and this is something that I need to get them involved with? Like, how would you sell it to them, or do you even need to sell it to them? Is it for everyone? Is it elite level athletes only? Like, how are you guys pitching it, or want people to be aware of what you're doing?
Yeah, great bunch of questions there. So
I do that. I'll throw 17 questions. You pick one of them and answer it.
Yeah, it's a good thing my last name is Muddle. I was tracking. It is a great question. So we're trying to do a few things differently with this facility. First of all, we're approaching it as a training facility. Okay. So membership based, reoccurring. It isn't just for the season. It isn't just for teams. We'll cater to teams, obviously, and be able to do packages for them to support their training needs throughout the season. But our idea was that it would be year-round. It would be membership-based. It would be regular, so that you can establish a baseline of where you're at, and then watch yourself improve against your own baseline. So personal improvement, gamification, tracking. I said earlier that we're youth focused, but we're not exclusively for elite athletes. Obviously, things that we're going to be offering are going to give kids an extra edge. in playing the sport that they love. But we are absolutely wide open, and we've done a lot of market research on the demand. But more importantly, guys like Coop and other parents, hockey parents, are like, oh my God, we need this. We want this right now. Like, it's a safe place to be. It's central. It's accessible. The schedules are all in advance. These are all things that don't exist, right? It's kind of ad hoc and muddled up and all over the place. And so we have an opportunity to, I think, really improve on the experience.
Well, Dave, I've known Dave forever.
Yes.
Played junior against him. He was a big, the Coop. I should say Coops. Yeah. And Medicine Hat Tiger, awesome player, rated, always plastered all over the hockey.
I remember
news.
Coop as a Maple Leaf.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
I know you're gonna get to that.
That was almost a deal breaker for me, but
But
you saw past it. You looked past it.
Now you've passed on all that skill and gifted hockey sense to your daughter, and it's amazing. She's such a better hockey player than you ever were. But
It's true.
is that
It's true.
like? And you started the Jungle Hockey League. Is that when you kind of realized that? Oh, you know what? I'd like to see something where there's a training facility where we can do all these things. Because Coops and I used to train together too. That's another story for another time. But,
And that was at Mitch Connor.
we did used to train together.
At Mitch Connor, because
Mitch Connor.
Little did you know, I was one of the midget Bantam players that would come in after the pro guys, and they were, Cooper's here, and who's the guy from the Caps? Jay.
No.
James.
It'll come to me. Black hair.
James Black.
No, Blackie was there.
Yeah.
There was another guy too, I think. Anyway, Blackie was there.
Yeah,
From
yeah,
the
yeah.
Caps?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Blackie was with the
Who
Caps
else was
then.
there?
Yeah.
There was
Well, Jody Shelley was there too.
Shelley.
Dingman.
Yeah.
Dinger was there.
Yeah, because we would be like, the pro guys are here. Let's go see it. And we were just the little dumb kids running around. So
That's great.
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's great.
Anyway, sorry, I completely sidetracked you.
No. So is that where it came from, Dave? Just having young kids in hockey and
Yeah, kids in hockey. I mean, I did a little bit, and thankful to my wife. She's like, you should go and help out on the board at the association. I'm like, what the?
he's a governance expert.
I thought he was a people pleaser.
I stepped in and they said, well, hey, do you want to do this VP of development? Worry about it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And as I kind of sat down and kind of went through it all, I'm like, we are completely out to lunch on anything we do with developing these kids.
Right.
You know, like, all right, we're going to go rent ice and we're going to throw an instructor out there and we're going to have one instructor and 20 kids are going to go follow this without any correction. Anyways, it just, to me, it was like, we're just getting them ice and sending the kids out there and whatever happens. That's development. So we kind of peeled it back and trying to change it. You just can't change the board.
Right.
Right. It was always so after a while you kind of get into the nuts and bolts of it all and you go, well, how do you make this better? And that's where it kind of, we started doing a lot of different trial tests with whatever else, and then somehow I stumbled across a buddy of mine was like, let's start our own league. Start your own league. Okay, well, how can we do that? We'll start our own league and we'll do it during the spring and in the summer. Mm-hmm. Fine, it'll just be geared towards having fun and a bunch of different little things. We can get the right people involved, get the right coaching.
Yep.
Do a little bit of dry land, teach these kids how to, the proper movements. And then it kind of, we started out as kind of just, shits and giggles. We'll do like 60 kids and form 4 teams and let them play each other. But we'll balance it and we'll make sure it's balanced. We'll make sure it's, as well as you can.
Yeah.
It's never perfect. But that was just before COVID. We came out of COVID and there was like 400 and I don't know how many kids now. And now we've got 25 different teams in every age group. And we're like, what just happened? And so from there, you kind of went, well, what do we do with these kids now that they're all in it? Like, start the training process. So it kind of evolved from all that, where we're like, where do we put them? You know, what do we do with them all?
Right.
Good problem to have.
Yeah,
Great
so
problem to have.
that's where it kind of, and then that's where
I liked
started.
it because when my son, he played hockey for a few years, and he was getting to the point where he was enjoying it.
Yep.
And he wanted to play in the summer, right? So, and at that point, there wasn't something like the Jungle Hockey League where it's, you know, yeah, you're getting better, but a lot of those summer leagues they're geared towards those elite kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he got out there with kids that I don't think have left the ice since birth, and it demoralized him because he couldn't keep up and things like that. So I liked the whole idea of a kid being able to, if they wanted to, keep playing, enjoy it, but not feel like they've been left behind skill-wise and still have some fun. So I where I live, obviously we live close to one another, and I see all these kids with these Jungle Hockey League shirts on and stuff, and I ask which team they play for, and I say, hey, how's Coops doing? Oh, he's a tough coach. Is
He really? Because he's like, every time I see him, he's in a great mood, smiling, yucking it up with everyone.
Yeah, he's
all a
very
mask.
personal.
Yeah, that's Dave,
Until we get
well, you
on the
work with
ice.
him, so you would know. Yeah.
He is a good coach.
It's funny. I think of Chimera. So him and I are coaching the girls,
That's right.
and I go, I don't know if I've ever met a more intense coach, like in anything I've ever done. And I mean, I played the game for
A long time,
some
yeah.
time. Never had a guy like this. And so we get on the ice, and it's on. It's business. Like, I'm not going to treat you like girls.
Right.
I'm going to treat you like hockey players.
Right.
And it's kind of neat to see, right? Like, you're like, how's this guy going to pull this off? You're girls still. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And he comes out and he's just driving it. And the parents are going like, what is he about? Hey, they're just like blown away. And he's giving it to him. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like, if I want my kid to learn, I want him to learn from this guy.
Yeah.
I want her to.
Does he communicate well outside of being like a driven, hard ass type of coach? He must. Or are you the go? Do you play the nice guy? You're a good cop. He's bad cop.
I'm supposed to be the good cop.
Yeah.
And I get fired up too, and I'm like, no, this is awesome. Like we're fired up with each other, and we're going like, you know what I mean? And but it completely stops as soon as we leave the ice.
Yeah.
It's that 1 hour. Bam.
Yeah.
We're going.
Yeah.
And we're giving it to these kids, and then we get off the ice. Now we're big teddy bears, big like Gage.
Yeah.
He is a big teddy bear.
Yeah, so
That's great.
yeah, it's fun. He's unbelievable. I've been learning a ton from this guy, and
awesome.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Youth hockey is in an interesting place, as we know. I'll throw this to you, Dave Muddle. It's so with ZerOne and what you guys are trying to launch or are about to launch. Do you see a chance or a window here to kind of shift the way we approach hockey, especially at a younger age? Do you see that as an opportunity, or do you guys just want to, hey, we're going to bring this big facility that's all-encompassing, and we're just going to try to make it as best as possible, maybe expand, whatever? Or do you actually see, or is the motive to kind of help guide hockey in a better direction, down a better path?
100%. 100% opportunity. It's one of the things that attracted me to the opportunity, to be honest with you. I have 4 kids, and they're all in different sports and all over the place. And the conversations that have animated hockey for the last couple years have also been around in other sports. Mm-hmm. So there's a big dialogue happening. We know that sport and getting involved in competitive sports at a young age is a really positive thing for mental health, for the development of the child, for social intelligence, for being able to do it. But we also know there's some downside, particularly as you get into more elite levels of that. So when does that happen? How does that happen? What are the conditions that create something that's so positive to become something that can have negative consequences? Right. So I absolutely think there's an opportunity to hit the reset on the narrative. I think ZerOne is a place where we're blind to a lot of the, and that's a deliberate choice about if you think from a diversity point of view, an equity point of view, inclusion point of view. You guys were just talking about girls hockey and the awesome work you're doing in that area. Some of our biggest partners are very focused on bringing awareness to the possibilities of girls hockey. CCM is working with us, and they're doing some very exciting stuff there. So we intend to absolutely lean in on some of these issues where we can make a dent. And last year we did some work with the McTavish Summer Classic around Indigenous participation, and that was a awesome experience. I remember Coop helping out one of the young players that showed up with missing one sock and no shoulder pads and didn't have a stick, and so he ran him down to Sport Check to go equip him, and he immediately went for the $300 stick. And of course, Coop was like, easy, Tiger. But he got him all set up, and the opportunities to have an impact in that way. I mean, that is the reason we actually do these things. I mean, obviously, we want it to be successful from a business point of view.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if we can change those conversations and lean into the things that made us love the sport, that would be success.
Hockey is in a state of flux, kind of following up on what Dave was saying and try to change things for the positive. But like now you're coaching Coop Gager. I know, you're doing media and you help out where you can. I know with the Oilers alumni and all of that. But what do you guys see when you look back to your playing days in minor hockey? You guys were elite level hockey players, to what you're dealing with now, being dads and having kids in sport and all of that, and saying, we didn't really do it that well back when I was doing it. Here's what we can improve on. And Coop, now you're in a position where you can kind of help guide that even.
It's changed since we were kids. Obviously, it was a lot more, I guess, hard-ass coaches. You can't treat players the way you even young people the way you did back then. I think it's completely different. I hope that in the current climate we've seen with some of these coaches and heard what how they've been treating, and these are professionals, and how that type of behavior unfortunately filters down, and to like having a guy, and I can say this because I know him quite well and played with him, like Chimera, who is fully engaged with and gives it more than like I hated losing with Chimmer was awful, because you'd come back in the room and it was, oh my God, we lost. Now we got to deal with Chimmer on the bus ride home or something, because he was miserable after that. Like, no one wants to win more than that guy does. It was almost a little bit obsessive, but he's that type of attitude that he can install when that work ethic and have a good heart. And I've known this guy for years. He's the salt of the earth and wants the best for everyone. And I'm excited for everything that you guys are going to do. The plan is amazing. Like when I was Sean McTavish walked me through the place and just showing the outline and the skating machines and incorporating like teamwork and stuff. It's gonna be something to behold.
Thanks, buddy.
You mentioned the machines. That was an early origin story. When I met with Coop and we first were thinking about it, he goes, "You got to see these machines. They're from Slovakia." and I'm like, we're not off to a great start, because I had an image in my mind of what that would be, right? Like some guy in his garage building whatever. And he goes, "It's hooked up to artificial intelligence." I'm like, "No, it's not." And he's like, yeah, it is.
Coop's rolling his eyes.
And he's like, they've got like development centers across Europe. They've been doing this stuff. They've got the top round draft picks. Like, they put them through this development program that's technology informed. And the more he talked about it, and I dug the words out of him, and I said, "Tell me what excites you about it." The more I realized, like, oh, okay, that's a differentiator. That's a thing that nobody else is doing. We're not doing it much in North America at all. And we have an opportunity to integrate that technology from day one on ground zero. And so we've got, to your point, skate mills that are hooked up to the latest AI machine language models.
Yeah.
So they do CompuVision. So they read your skating profile, spit out drills that are coach and enhanced by having a live coach there.
Right.
That can help. Chimera. He's like, "I don't believe in machine." Anyway, it's going to be a great experience. And then we're also going to integrate that technology across our dry land training and eventually on the small play areas and the shooting lanes.
Yeah.
So, very cool.
Dave, I'm glad you brought that up because like this facility is huge in West Edmonton Mall. Obviously, there's some huge spaces in the mall, obviously being the largest in North America, formerly the world. What other components of the game are you guys honing in on? Because you just talked about the skating machines. Coop brought up the fact you guys are putting in actual ice as well. Shooting lanes, the dry land, the medical portion. Are we missing anything? Like, how are you guys going to be staffing this out? Because it sounds like a monster task and project and literal space. So for those that we haven't filled in the complete picture, what are we missing out on right now?
Well, we've got retail, but it's not your usual kind of retail. It'll be custom fit retail, so sticks, skates, gloves, helmets, anything that you want to fit properly and customized. So we're working with our partners at CCM to create a really cool technology forward showroom. And then we've also got apparel and other things that we'll be offering. We've also got a media center, so I'm not trying to throw that out there, but we have our own studio that we're building. It's actually just a boardroom, but we're going to throw some.
Coach's corner.
Media center sounds so much cooler, though.
It does.
Right?
It does. Yeah. When Dave was like, the media center, I was imagining like a studio with
Put
cameras.
Rogers up there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
We see it all. No.
Yeah. We've got some.
It's a coaching.
Yeah, coaching studio, but it'll have some capability, and we'll see where it goes. Shooting lanes, I mentioned, small play area, kind of a half rink.
Yep.
And then access to the ice palace, of course.
That's important, obviously.
Yeah, huge. And then upstairs, a multidisciplinary integrated sports clinic. So that's also something we're very excited
Prevention,
about.
return to play,
Maintenance.
all sports, right? Not just hockey.
Okay, so that's important
So that's
to know as
important
well.
to know, yeah. So and could be any age. Like Gager here has got a bad hip. He didn't come in.
I don't know if that's true, Dave.
Yeah.
I've been carrying the team for so long.
But so you could treat soccer players or volleyball, basketball,
Dancers.
football, dancers.
Yeah.
Twisted ankles, lots of
A
twisted
lot of
ankles
figure
in
skating.
gymnastics.
So we've got one of the biggest figure skating groups in all of Western Canada out of
Ice
West
Palace.
Edmonton Mall.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So come there, you need whatever sort of care you need. We're right there. So a lot of that, and we have a lot of kids. You even see it just at our age group where we're at the U15. I mean, they get banged up all the time, and they need to get fixed up.
Yep.
But here we can gradually bring it back. So instead of you going, okay, here you're cleared to go back to practice or back to skate with your team, and then kids are doing the same old things. Well, here you can gradually get back on the ice, or we can put you through the right,
This sounds pro level, like that type of care and attention.
That's what we want to bring, though, is we want to bring that level of a pro experience to the young player. And it should feel extraordinary. It will be extraordinary.
I've been lucky enough to take part in the MAC-T Invitational the last 2 years. Only one win in my coaching, but are you doing something for Christmas here? Am I hearing rumblings of another tourney? And do you need another hard-nosed coach like myself?
Hey, didn't Keith Gretzky get tossed out of one of these games? And Schmid, or is that just like an urban legend?
No, he got tossed.
I think it was Schmid that might have got out.
Yeah, he was running my D. He got the Schmieder was yelling at the ref, and they had a little huddle and came over and goes, "Yeah, you got to leave." And Schmid didn't. He just stayed on the bench. It was great.
I'm not leaving.
I'm not leaving. That was great.
Yeah,
but
it was awkward. I thought.
16-year-old
that tournament is so much fun with that age group of 9-year-olds, and they love it the whole weekend. They're just yelling and screaming. Sean McTavish is we coach together. It's a blast. I got to get more involved with the draft picks though, because last 2 years
you got to put in the time. You got to go scout the kids. I want that guy.
Oh yeah,
that's what Bucky did.
I know. Bucky got that one, and MAC-T got the. I had a really good D-man, Dougie. I forget his last name. That kid's gonna be special. So.
There was a couple.
There was a couple guys I had on my team.
It's so crazy that you can see that potential. Hey, at 9 years old, I think it's crazy.
It's crazy, and those kids are. That's the ripe prime age of like they're so cute, they're so innocent, and they listen and they want to get better.
Yep.
And they just want to have fun. And it kind of the coaches feel that too. Everybody gets that.
We get all like fired up and stuff. And
evidently,
it's great. Like, I lose my voice every weekend. I can't speak for like a week afterward.
The energy afterwards when we connect with you guys is just like next level.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody's so hyped up, and it's because it's so fun. Right?
Yeah,
Those kids are so awesome.
Dave Muddle, I know you're on a bit of a timeline. I do want to ask you one thing though. What's the timeline like for ZerOne? When can people go in there and getting their kids involved? Like, lay it out for us as we get set for this thing.
Sure. So we're just at the start of the construction process. We've done all the legwork and the design and building permits, so we're ready to go. What you did hear rumblings about a Christmas tournament. It's also part of our kind of soft launch, pre-launch. So we're starting to think about how we're going to build that excitement and create the waiting lists that we're going to need to manage when we start. We have some targets, obviously, on opening day. From there into the new year, our target is probably I don't want to put a firm date on it because we haven't started yet, but we're thinking around May will be our start time.
Okay. And the buzz reception you're getting so far, has it been good?
Yeah, I mean, I'm speaking from not a hockey parent, a sport parent.
Right.
We're getting, what I find interesting is we get enthusiasm from a lot of different corners. Like, I'm more involved on the athletic care side and on the medical side. And so we get people that are really attracted to this model because they're like, there's nothing like this. It's great. Like, it will be really exceptional for my kid that does X.
Right.
But on the hockey side, I've been able to ride coach with these guys for a while. And I can tell you that I go to the practices, I go to the tournaments, I listen, and because I've got to sell the memberships. And I'm like sitting there going, oh my God, there's so many people that are like, wow, like, I wish this had existed like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That is the overwhelming thing that I hear. And the novelty of it will, be off the charts, but I also think there's a sustainable program here. And of course we have grand ambitions because of the nature of our partnerships to move into other large North American malls and other markets that may have large hockey-loving fans.
Read between the. I know where you're going with that, Dave. That's great stuff. Okay, do you have to?
I do have to jet. Yeah.
Okay,
So
Dave Muddle, ZerOne. Great to have you on. Thank you for enlightening us on what's happening.
Busy guy. He's gotta go.
That's
Thanks
good.
for having me. I appreciate it.
That's fantastic. We'll continue the conversation with Coop and Gager.
See you, buddy.
See you.
Dave Muddle, ZerOne. Check it out. Website, Dave?
ZerOne.ca.
I'll put it on my social
There we
media.
go.
We'll put it on
We'll put it out on our social. So big thank you to Dave Muddle from ZerOne. Coop's going to stick around. You're good to go for the full 2 hours. Okay. What were we going to say? David Cooper and Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, Matty Awanek sliding back in. Pretty cool. Hey, Awanek, were you eating beef jerky back there?
Well, I had a little bit of the sausage.
How was it?
Right, it was great.
It was good.
It was delicious. Like, you can't go wrong with sausage or jerky. What a way
From
to start the
Meats.
day.
We've
What
got
a way to
segment on
start the
morning show
day.
called I Got Beef, Coop.
Oh, nice.
I got beef. And
We got some jerky after if you'd like some after the show or in the break.
What was it that?
We got hot, we got teriyaki, and we got regular.
Perfect.
And
we aim to please you.
and then some other like pepperoni sticks almost and sausage and it was a good morning. It was good. It was a good morning. That's all I'll say.
Good way to celebrate a
So let's
Thursday.
dive into Dave Cooper's hockey career.
Go ahead. You guys are old pals.
Yeah,
the
let's
hockey career. That's nothing to
I remember my first time I saw Dave was again on the Hockey News, rated first overall to go that year with the Medicine Hat Tigers. Big defenseman with Rathje too, right? You two were like
that was before the Europeans came.
Well, we didn't know, but what? Like,
No, it wasn't before that. But they weren't ranked.
No, they weren't
just
ranked.
North
It was just
American,
North Americans,
So
right?
it doesn't really count.
And then
It counts. Come on, Coop. Come on, Coop.
well, do you remember where we were like at Montreal Forum draft? I just remember how hot it was in that building. Like, I was scared that
Because
I
we're
would have
good sweaters.
I was so scared of going early and having sweat stains on the back of this Armani suit I was wearing. That's what I was most worried about. But Coops, you went 14th?
Wow. I don't. I think it was 11.
Oh,
Gage. Come on,
You're trying to undersell him here. Like, what is going on here?
First rounder, 11th to Buffalo. Can you tell the story of? I think your first game was with your partner. Was it Peter Svoboda? And you were having a really good game up to a point. And...
Oh man, Svoboda. He had this Beamer. It went into the shop.
Yeah.
So they gave him a Miata, and he's pissed. He's like, I'm not driving this Miata. Coop, drive the Miata. So I'm driving around. We got the sunroof down and all
Like a go-kart.
So him and I are like good buddies. He's taking me under his wing. We start playing the game. We're up. Who the hell are we playing? Buffalo against Wash, and we're up 6-0. And we're like, when you start getting a little comfortable.
Yeah.
We're end of the second. And, the high risk Coop that I am. The guy, I try to do this little spin around with the puck. Sure enough, just
you get on.
Yeah,
okay.
I fall, and puck's laying there, and Bondra comes in. 6-1. Well, I mean, the wheels came off. They come back out, and we come out in the third. It's now 6-5, and I'm like, oh my, and squeezing the stick.
Yeah.
And now I'm scared. I started this whole disaster. The comeback, and anyway, so I get on the bench, and Peter's like, bad ice, eh? What? It was a bad ice. I'm like, yeah, bad ice. Anyway, so later on, the story goes, and the coach comes up and says, later, like mucks, and it's like, Coop, I hear you said the ice was bad. I'm like, what the? Where'd this come from? Svoboda. Oh, bad great. Ice. Anyways, so that was a rookie. That was my first game.
Welcome to the league, kid, kind of thing. That would have been at the Odd in Buffalo?
No, we were in Washington.
Oh, you were in Washington. What was it? Capitol Center or whatever it was called back in the day?
Yeah.
What was the Odd like? Because didn't it have like a spiral staircase in the middle of the locker room that had a second level?
What?
Yeah. It was really weird. Do you remember that?
No. Wasn't that Chicago?
No, Chicago, you had to go
up
the stairs to get to the ice.
Well,
right?
in San Jose, they had didn't they have like a barn in San Jose or
Cow
something
Palace.
like that, where you also had to take
Did you guys
stairs?
play there?
No, not the Cow Palace. I played the Odd.
You guys got to experience like the last of the old great buildings, quote unquote. Like
the ones with character,
Yeah.
we'll call it.
Yeah.
some of them have character.
The Odd went straight up. Like it was like it felt like the fans were right on top of you. It was really cool. I played against Hasek that game. And lost. But
it's the teammates in front of you that
I'm
lost,
sure we'll
not
see
you.
I know where you're going with this one. I know exactly what play.
So the Doug Waite when went in on Hasek, and Hasek threw I played in that game, and it was, I think the score was like 2-2 at that point. And I thought for sure we were going up a goal, and Hasek does that stupid thing.
It was such a nice save.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Such a nice save.
But that was fun. That was a good memory of playing. Just the building itself was just crazy. But Coops, you also played with the Leafs too, quarterback in the power play for them as well. Like you and Matt Sundin, do you still communicate? Are you still good friends?
Yeah. I don't think if Matt's even remembered me, I'm shocked. But no, I mean, it was a small little stint there, and it was exciting, and everything you'd ever dream of. I always tell people, I go, when you manifest and you actually visualize and dream, dream like bigger than one game,
Right.
But I played. We had great guys around that time, and playing in the old gardens was something surreal. But
I remember I think you scored like this because I would watch every Saturday. I'd be 10 to 15 years old, every Saturday I would play video games, go to my own hockey, and then I'd watch Hockey Night in Canada. I'd watch the doubleheader, watch the Leafs, and then hope that the Oilers would be playing that night. Usually it was the Canucks getting destroyed by somebody before they got Naslund and Bertuzzi and Jason Strudwick. But yeah, I remember, I think you had just been called up and you scored, and I was like, Dave Cooper, I think he's from Edmonton, and this is me being a little kid.
Yeah.
So you're there at the tail end of Maple Leaf Gardens, and there was like this aura to Maple Leaf Gardens. And then when I first went there, obviously now it's
a Loblaws, isn't it?
It's a Loblaws, but then what used to be
it's a grocery store.
What used to be Ryerson has an arena, and
Really?
its whole athletic facilities is in the top, like almost in the roof. And it's cool because they still have like the old seats and the Maple Leaf in the Loblaws and stuff.
No
But
way.
I was just like, wow, that seems so cool to play there. But then I went there and I'm like, this place is tiny. How the hell did they get 15,000 people in here, a TV truck, and where did they do like Coach's Corner? It just looked so small.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it must have been cool. You talk about the odd playing there, Gager, but you were a Leaf.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be like you're walking around town with your chest puffed out, I would assume.
He always did that.
Well,
He caught Chester.
yeah.
No, you know, from being out west too, you don't realize the hype of the Leafs.
Yeah.
Like you don't get it until you're there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like to be honest, like I was Edmonton boy, or you know, Winnipeg, and then Edmonton, and then Toronto was never. You know, we'd watch them Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada, but I was more Oilers, right?
Right.
Like
We're from here,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
And so that's the real deal. And when you get there and you're like, holy, like people are crazy for hockey, just crazy. And you got to kind of get in that mindset. And I didn't even I remember playing my second season there. I had played a while my first year, and I'm not using this as an excuse, but first year, and then I blew out my knee, and then I came back. So I came back the next year, and they're like, they slotted me in as 10th defenseman or whatever. I'm like, well, I just saw on the board.
Yeah.
What the? Anyways, I'm like, no, I better get working. You know?
Right.
They slot me in at 10th. So I start out the season with the big club, and we play Montreal. And it's first game of Hockey Night in Canada. And to me, it's like, it's a game.
Yeah.
You know, it's another game. And it's not another game. It is the biggest game in the world
Yeah.
to everybody that's involved in hockey. Montreal, Toronto, it is Hockey Night in Canada, and it's on. And I remember first night was, about 9 minutes in, and playing Shane Corson's on the ice, and I try to jump in this hole, which is, it's a high risk play.
I love the regret that you still have.
Just immediately knows it.
I can just see it on your face.
How do you still know the play? And I'm like, I know the play. And we're now Chimmer and I are teaching this to the girls, like jump in the hole here. You know, and I'm strong side D man. You shouldn't be jumping there, and that's the way it was. Like, but I had Bergeron, and he's looking right. We had eye contact. Boom, he's feeding me, and somehow Kinger's stick comes out and tips it. They go back 2-on-1, and sure enough, Corson buries it, and we're down 1-0. So the rest of the game, I'm trying to get that goal back and get it back, and sure enough, the wheels come off. We lose 5-1. Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah.
Coop's fault. We fly all the way to San Jose. It was San Fran, bus to San Jose.
Yeah.
That was game 6 of the season, getting ready for game 7 in San Jose, West Coast swing. And we have, what's his name there? The goalie, the famous goalie of all time.
Nabokov? We're talking about San Jose.
No.
Toronto.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was thinking.
Dryden.
No, Dryden. Yeah,
Ken
so-
Dryden. Yeah, because he was the president of or GM,
right,
wasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So Dryden
I'm way
says, gets, and we get to San Jose, he goes, send him back.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So they fly me all the way to Toronto, and to get on a flight to get down to St. John, New Brunswick to go play the Flames. And I'm like, so they flew me all the way to San Jose from Montreal, then get on a flight the next day to go back to Toronto, to get on a flight to go to Anyway, so long story short, I was not a happy guy, but that was that's what you do when you jump in a hole. A high risk play.
Bad ice.
We played against each other a lot in Europe too. So the one, and Dave always tried a little bit too hard to score on me, and even though he was usually on the more dominant teams.
Coop, what's the book on Gager? Where would you shoot on him?
He's only got one weakness: shots. That was it. But this was our last kick at the can, and we were playing in Italy, and so the humidity is quite high, and a lot of the rinks are outdoors there, right? So
that's crazy.
We would have these massive fans hooked up in the corner to keep the fog for fogging up on the ice, but it would get to a point where you couldn't see into the other end, and so playing against this prick, and I see him. He goes and gets the puck, and I can see him, and he circles back in his own end, and he knows I can't see it, and I hear this bang, and so I'm looking like this, and a puck hits me, and I go, you. We had words after. He tried to embarrass me, but he tried to score me and used the fog as a screen. So
I'd say that's brilliant.
It was brilliant. So we tell that story to this day. But
a lot of other players try to do that. Was that like a strategy at a point if there was fog and the goalie can't see it?
Yeah, some guys would shoot, but not when the other team's attacking and he goes back into his own end to take a shot on me. Like, I knew exactly what he was doing. It was pretty funny afterwards.
We used to have fun.
We used to have a lot of fun. We did a lot.
Chirping each other on the ice.
Oh my gosh, it was fun. I remember first getting over to Germany, and you were in Iserlohn, and you were mad that I made a couple saves. And like, I'm skating by, and he's yelling at me, and we would hang out all summer. I go, Jesus, what? Aren't we buddies? Like, geez, you're taking this a little too far. But it was great. I loved having the 1 year. Well, you know Kent Simpson, too, right?
Yep.
So
Kent, love Kent.
Kent and Dave.
Gold helmet.
You know
Symbol,
Kent?
yeah.
Oh, no way.
Oh yeah, they played
because he used to work with us at the station.
Yeah.
He was a sales rep back at the station before he moved out to Kelowna.
Oh yeah.
So we know Kent really well.
Yeah.
Wow.
And when he would do media games, he would wear the gold helmet that he had for being the leading scorer. And I'm like, why are you wearing that helmet? Where'd you get that? He's like, leading scorer in Europe. And I was like, oh, neat.
He played on Team Canada with me too. So we both know Kent. You lived across the.
Where were you in Sweden?
No, on Team Canada in Calgary. He was on that team with me.
Played Team Kent. Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Remember the national program?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I ended that program too. So.
Abshai and all those. Who's there?
Tom Rennie was the coach then. But who else? Gerald Diddick joined our team. Adrian Aucoin was there for a bit. Kent, obviously. Who else?
Was Wally Schreiber still on that team?
No, he was gone.
He
by
played
then.
30 years on the national team.
He was in Shawinigan.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, he was good. He was good still, and being old.
I know. He
Played
can't play anymore.
Played against him one time in a corporate cup. He must have been, I don't know how
He
old.
looked 100.
Yeah.
But he was still Dangle.
Oh, yeah.
He was unreal.
Pissing me off. I'm like,
And you played in Berlin, too. What was that like? That must have been awesome.
Berlin was, a lot. And I was single, but it was fun.
Well, Coop, I always ask Gager about like the neatest experiences he had outside the NHL. We talk about the NHL days and playing in North America, but like he always talks about the travel and seeing places. Like, what do you rank as something that was the coolest when you were playing in Europe, where you're just like, wow, where the hell am I? This is awesome.
I loved Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Like that diamond in the like that place was it was just a magical place. I loved that Copenhagen. I mean, I played in a lot of great cities. I played in Copenhagen, played just outside of Venice in Italy there. I played played outside of where I was in Berlin, St. Petersburg.
Oh yeah.
Some of the towns in Germany were unbelievable, but I'd say Copenhagen was probably my #1 favorite. Yeah,
That's cool. So you would recommend traveling there if people are doing a European vacation?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially Christmas time and Tivoli and all that kind of. It was, it's a pretty surreal place. Like it's just an amazing town.
That's
So,
cool.
I got to tell. He'll get mad at me for telling this story, but
Please do. Go on.
Can you just like try to close that door a little bit too?
When we used to work out, Coops
Thank you,
lived.
sir.
Well, he was single, living off of White Ave a little bit there, and working out with him was kind of tough, especially when you're doing sets on things. Because if any attractive girl was in the gym, I always used to be mid-set and struggling, and I'd look over and Coops was talking to some girl in the corner.
Nice.
Coops. But the best, and I had my faults too, and he can allude to what I used to do too. But we'd go to on our way to the gym was always the most fun because, well, Dave smoked, I chewed tobacco, but we're walking and Dave's having a smoke. And we're at the light to cross the street, and we're jogging to the U of A gym.
Yeah.
And we're standing there, and Coops is like just finishing the cigarette before, and then puts it down, and then starts jogging. And we're in our workout gear, and I look over to the car, and the guy is just going, "Oh my God!" Like he can't believe it. That Coops is smoking. But I afterwards on the way home, I'd,
You guys would stop in at like.
I used to have so my beer fridge was like the Heineken commercial, right?
Oh, okay.
And you come to my place and there's always rows of beer. And Gager, we'd come.
No wonder he liked it there.
We'd come back. And we're both like, "What's wrong with us?" Like I'd have a dart, and he'd come and he'd give me shit for the darts, and then he'd come home, crack a beer, and I mean, it wasn't like cracking a beer and I'm just gonna sip on this thing. It was crush that beer, and then crack another one, and then kind of take that one a little slower, and I'm like, "Dude, we just worked out." He's like, lay off me, man. You were just smoking. Like, what's wrong with you?
We would argue for the next at least 10 to 15 minutes while he's like, "Gager, you can't drink. You're smoking." So we had fun. That was a fun time. That was just a blast. But
That doesn't happen anymore, does it?
No,
Like that. No, the
I don't
athletes
think
aren't
so.
doing
I
that
don't
nowadays.
think
Like
so. I
the
don't
old
think
days,
so.
we're well past that.
If it was a nice day, look out, because we'd go. What was the place on whatever? We'd get those tuna sandwiches. Those that bread plate. We'd go for. Let's go have lunch, like something healthy, a tuna sandwich. If it was nice out, all of a sudden it might be O'Byrne's in a bit, and then all of a sudden we're at billiard club.
Oh.
I wasn't married yet, but my girlfriend, wife we lived together, and so I'd be phoning her at 8. She goes, "You went to work out this morning," and then that was pretty good. He was another good one. He was my best man at the wedding, but the best, like Coops, he's gorgeous. So he's got his houseboating trip planned. So I phone him. I go, "Coops," it was kind of a shotgun wedding and stuff. So I, "Coops, I'm getting married. I want you to be I'm phoning him to say, you know what, I'm getting married. I want you to be there. I want you to be my best man." He goes, "Gager, you know goddamn well I got my houseboating trip booked."
That's not really the way it went down. I sound like a selfish ass.
But he showed up.
That's how tight we were. We could be able to just say it the way it was. Like, really? Okay.
You know that's my trip.
The deposit is down already.
Yeah.
You know?
So that was good.
Non-refundable.
That was good. That was fun. I got good pictures. It got emotional because who was there? We had Chimmer was there.
Yeah.
Chris Dingman was there, and it was a good time. That was
Jody
fun.
there?
No, Jody wasn't there.
Okay.
But you had to split right after that. So, but
Back
thanks
to the
for coming.
houseboat.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
He stood there with you.
Yeah.
All these
was
years
good.
later, still buds. Do we need to take a time out?
We can if we
Yeah,
want.
let's
Yeah,
take
we
a
can take
time
a little
out.
short one
We'll
and then
reset.
come back and maybe
We got to hit on some topics.
some
that-
Oilers.
well get into the
Oilers,
NHL.
Oilers D.
NHL,
Get the
Kevin
lowdown.
Constantine, all that stuff.
a
We
lot
got
to
talk
get
about
to here.
that. Lots to talk about. But I like the old stories a lot. Those are the best. When you guys get together and you just riff on each other, that's the best. So Yeah, we'll talk business after the break. 780-218-9999 if you have a question for David Cooper or Joaquin Gage. And I think, Awanik, you're keeping tabs on the Nasty Chat.
Yeah, I've got it going.
Okay,
I've got it opened up. Matt Phillips, I think this is Northern Chicken one.
Ooh.
Matt said, athletes still drink. I've catered enough private parties for them to see a lot of hammered boys. So got the Nasty Chat going where, what's the other one that we had here?
I love Coop.
Coop's great Southside athletic boy from D. White.
Hey.
I love you on the darts going to a workout. That's epitome of top level.
Now we're just pictures of health, though, right?
Yeah.
Nah, you guys are good. You guys are good. All right, we got to step out for a quick break.
Yes, this is the EST Hangout. You're listening on EdmontonSportsTalk.com or watching on Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube.
The Nielsen Show.
Elks Kickerdine Faithful had that project management job. Well, you're an adult now. I was an adult. I'd grown up earning some money, and mum and dad were proud. Yeah. And I went, who's your son? He's a project manager. Yeah. Big deal. Yeah. He manages projects, which I don't know what that means. Nobody does. No. I think in my interview for that job, why do you think you can be a project manager? I said it's like making a sandwich. A project's like making a sandwich. You get 2 bits of bread, you get your meat, and you slap it together. And they were like that. And I think that's what got me the job. I was like, it's as simple as making a sandwich. Yeah.
The Nielsen Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings at 6, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for The Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio, Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District, Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast, located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream, live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
They do that.
The chairs do. Yeah.
We are back on the EST Hangout. Yeah, our chair. Everyone just gets, they sit down, they get that noise, and they're so panicky of what's going on there. Dave Cooper, Joaquin Gage, Tom Gazzola, Matt Awanik. I was about to call you Matt Awanik, but that's not how it goes. Yeah, no. You're listening to the EST Hangout. 780-218-9999 is where you can get in touch with us via the text in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Shout out to Paris Jewelers from a Manchester United clock I got yesterday.
I showed that to Coop.
It's beautiful. Or you could jump into the Nasty Chat on YouTube. We're monitoring that. Tommy's wearing the sweater of Edmonton Sports Talk. Hopefully this month we'll have a little bit of a store showing up on our website where you could purchase some merchandise. All of our merchandise brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out at thehiveproductmarketing.com. You see their beautiful logo right at the bottom of your YouTube screen right now. If you hit them up for some merch, ask for Chelsea. She'll take great care of you like she's doing with us.
Socks. I was looking at the socks that Chelsea gave us.
Oh yes, I've been meaning to wear those soon too. Here
They're yellow and black, like the Hive, obviously being the motif. But you got to find the right outfit to wear yellow and black Hive socks.
I'm sure you'll find it.
I'll find it.
you'll figure it out. If anyone's going to figure it
No
out,
big deal.
Find a way.
Yeah.
white shoes, black pants. I think that'll work.
Yeah, that might work.
you just
Are
always
you gonna
wear-
do that? We all got the socks, right? Like,
Yeah, I need to go get some new shoelaces for my white shoes so I can start wearing those now because then you can wear whatever socks with them.
I
Basically,
like this. Strategy's good.
Well, yeah, if
Very
you wear
important.
black pants and white shoes, you could wear anything for socks at that point.
Yeah.
And I like wearing my socks. I bought a new pair of socks yesterday that was, if anybody's a Simpsons fan, there's a Treehouse of Horror where his head gets turned into a donut, Homer.
Yeah.
And I got socks of his head and him as the donut head and stuff. So I saw those at the store and I immediately had to buy them. I was a sucker.
Have you seen the pictures of the sphere in
Vegas?
Vegas
Amazing.
and what they're doing with that thing?
Yeah.
Like
I
that's,
want to go so bad.
yeah. Have you seen that?
How do you go from socks to that sphere?
Because the
Great question.
But no, that's great.
the Simpson thing, and I saw something that looked like
So a circle, and
So
then
on
it
the
goes.
and I was like,
that's a great question, though. That's
But yeah, no, the sphere. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Do you two? Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
YouTube
Whoa,
shows
yeah.
the
Oh my
first
gosh.
one.
Can you
and the
blew my
prices are
mind.
higher.
Yeah,
The more money you want to spend, you're sitting higher up, not closer up.
Really?
Because you're now you're seeing more of the
of the
screen,
thing,
if you
yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're right at the bottom, you're getting the stage, but you'd have to. It's like front seat in a movie theater. You don't want those seats.
No, yeah.
You want to be further back, a little higher up, so you can enjoy everything.
Wow.
The ads, if you want to do an ad, $450,000 for one day.
Come on.
$650,000 for a week
Come
of
on.
ad on that. That would
But you think
that would
about
be
it.
great marketing.
Yeah,
though.
you're in
I
Las
think you're getting
Vegas.
great bang for your buck on that one.
Every flight that's coming in sees that thing clear as day.
Yeah.
And then everybody that's walking on the strip or anywhere in town, because you can't miss it. It's so big. I think it's like 30 stories high.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's massive.
It's
I-
awesome.
okay. and then
19,000
maybe-
seats or something
Yeah.
like that, and they say
30
that
stories high. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
because it's all like it's an amphitheater type style or
Yeah.
whatever, where it all is on the one side.
Yeah.
And there's like I think there's a 400 level, so it's like
Yeah.
4 levels or something like that it goes up, and like they've designed the sound so every single person is getting hit supposed to be like perfectly.
Yeah.
What was the cost?
It was like $2 billion.
$2.8 billion.
Yeah.
And they're building one in London, I think.
Are they
Yeah.
really?
I think
you
they're
know-
trying to build
It's
one over
Canadian,
there.
isn't it?
No, it's the guy that owns the Rangers and the Knicks.
Oh,
That's
is it?
right. Dolan, yeah, it's MSG.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's the tie-in
Yeah,
to sport.
yeah. Nice.
I gotta see what like
But it's insane. Absolutely
$2
insane.
billion.
$2 billion.
2.3.
2.3 billion.
2.3 billion.
Yeah.
They've already got Halloween mode where they've got it as
Yeah,
a
I saw.
lantern.
That's what I saw
Oh,
yesterday.
that's
Just
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
For
That's-
those that are listening, Awanik is showing the dome on screen. Okay, there you go. Okay, lots to talk to. Do you want to go Oilers? Do you want to go
Okay, before
Hockey
I do
Canada?
that, I'm looking at the tweet and this guy says unpopular opinion, but the 2.3 billion sphere is one of the coolest things in the U.S.
I think it is really cool.
That's not an unpopular
No.
opinion.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a
amazing.
very popular opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry to sidetrack there, but
No, that's okay.
that was stupid.
This is what we
Be
do. on the
better,
Hangout. It
Joe
just goes anywhere.
Pompliano,
Who's Joe Pompliano?
the guy who wrote that
Oh.
tweet. He needs to be better.
No, all good. I was gonna throw out Vegas, great hockey city. Yes, they have the Sphere. They've got the Golden Knights. We're watching the Oilers here. The roster that Calgary sent yesterday, Gage, I don't know, or Coop, if you had a chance to see it, but that was the Calgary Wranglers basically that we saw. So the Oilers smacked them around 7-2. What kind of information can you glean from a game like that? I know we're talking about, like, boys on the morning show, we're talking about Raphael Lavoie trying to make the team, make the jump, scores a nice goal yesterday. But, like, you're not playing against NHL level competition. So how much can you take from a game like that? Honestly, and I'm being devil's advocate.
I was there, so
Yeah.
watching it, and I felt I wasn't too impressed with the first period, to tell you the truth. Like
was tied.
yeah, 2 suspect goals.
Did you have a beer?
I was with Sandy. It was red wine. They did what they were supposed to do.
Right.
They
Yeah,
that's what they should have done to the Calgary Wranglers, is just abuse them. And I don't think you can take a lot out of it, because it was just a more skilled more experienced lineup going up against a depleted Calgary Flames without some of their studs. And yeah, I was completely satisfied with it because that's what should have happened in that type of situation.
Like, result aside, the fact that Calgary dressed so many AHL guys this late in training camp and the preseason, that struck me as odd. Like, have you guys experienced anything like that before? I know the coach, Husko, wanted to look at a couple of guys trying to fight for spots, but I'm like, we're a week away from opening night, and you're dressing the Wranglers in Edmonton when they're dressing their top 2 lines and their number 1 D pairing and their starting goalie. Like, I just found that odd, Coop. Have you ever experienced anything like that where it's basically the AHL team taking on an almost elite NHL team in preseason?
What's your prediction of how the Flames will start?
I think they're going to be a better team. They have good players. They have a good team. It's just
it's just weird. Why would you go ahead 1 week before? I mean, you got to be gearing up
systems
with your lineup to get ready to jump in, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, make you a little nervous.
And plus the location. We're so close, right? It's not like you had to fly. Like, I know when I was in preseason, a lot of the vets, they didn't want to go anywhere. Right?
Yeah.
They didn't want to go to Winnipeg or to Vancouver. They wanted to stay home. That's what the regular season's for. But I mean, flying to Calgary, what is it?
23 minutes in the air.
So I mean,
especially on the charter,
you're not. It's not that taxing. You're back home by midnight, right? So I was actually quite surprised that they didn't just to see what they had, right? Because really, it's a huge transitional year, I think, for the Flames, just for what happened last year and where they want to get back the subpar seasons from a lot of the guys in the lineup. So yeah, that's and going up against a team that you're probably going to have to, if you want to do something, you're going to have to get past them at some point. And I know it's only preseason, but there is something to beating a team, and depending on how you beat them, there's a little bit of a psychological edge too. So one up for the Oilers in the Battle of Alberta.
If you're one of those guys dressing for the Flames last night, you're fighting for a spot, you're that late in training camp, like, what is the anxiety level like? You guys had to make NHL teams. You guys had to go through NHL training camps. What is that moment like? And then you go in undermanned and you get, crushed by an Oilers team that's really good. Like, I can't imagine that feels particularly great. Like, how can you build confidence in your game and go, you know what, I might actually lock up a spot here when you have a situation like that? Like, Coop, do you remember the anxieties of training camp and being late in the preseason, being like, I don't know where I stand right now?
Yeah, I think it's always weighing in on those guys, right? You're finding your... Yeah, I mean, that's it's always training camp. You don't know where you sit. You're a young kid, you know what I mean? Like, you're thinking, maybe I have a chance. Maybe why wouldn't you be 1 week before?
Right.
But that's, looking at the whole, like you said, that's mentally you're putting yourself up against the Oilers. You're gonna have to play them all year.
Yep.
And that's what you leave yourself with is a 7-2 blowout, right? I just don't know why they would do that. And to keep these guys hanging around longer, you're a week before season starts. You know who you want.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what you have. Like, there's no denying that. I don't know. So,
did you ever, like, from Buffalo or Toronto going into camp, was Buffalo different because you knew there were spots available? In Toronto, was there less, or was it? Because I was actually talking about this with Turan last night when I was first came to the Oilers. There was multiple spots open.
Yeah.
Not my second time there was one goalie spot open. When I was younger, there wasn't really. You had to do something really special. Fred Brathwaite did it one year and actually made the team, but it wasn't like the Oilers now where there's like everyone can look at the lineup and see that there's really only one spot, barring someone getting injured or something, that you're basically fighting to be considered for the first call up, depending on where.
That's a good point.
Was it different for you in either place, like Toronto or Buffalo? Did you go in going, that spot, I can get that one, or gosh, I'm going to have to beat out this guy and this guy to get that other spot?
Yeah. That makes me think too, when you think about goalies. No, it's and we don't really. Chimmer and I were just talking about this. It's there's 32 only 32 spots in the world for goalies, like for the best league in the world. 32. I mean, you get your backup, but that's
Well, but you're not playing all the time.
But there's 32 starters,
right?
And like, can you imagine? Like,
I can.
You can't imagine 32. You imagine less.
Yeah, I imagine less.
That was like 24 teams back then, 26.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. But no, I think you go in and, like I said, I remember that one time I looked at the board and I saw I'm slotted 10 or 11. I don't even, who knows after you get so low doing the math on it. And you're like, how? How am I below that guy?
Yeah.
That guy can't even skate. But yeah, you go through those times where you're just the mental part of the game, and where I was the mental midget, right? I think just wait on you. Like, how do you get mentally ready?
Yeah.
Even though like you're slotted here. That's that part of the game is. It's 90. Like I look at it now. Yeah, you can skate, you can shoot, you can do all these things, but if you can't put it together, you're
hooped.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of guys. You get to they're here, and you see them all the way through.
Yeah,
and you go, he's a good guy. He's got great attitude, but if you can't pull it together, geez, we had some of the best practice players in the world.
I hate practice players.
Yeah, and you're like, how are you so good in practice?
Yeah,
but you can't do shit in the game,
right?
And but that's and everybody has them.
Sure,
every league, every level.
Yep,
great practice players. And how do you turn it into a
make it click on the ice in the game? Can I throw this at you, Coop? Because you were a first rounder. You are a first rounder. Did that ever lean in or weigh in on your mind when you were, getting into your second, third, fourth, fifth training camp, and you're like, Jesus, like, did you ever have that thought cross your mind, like, I'm a first round, I should be in the NHL as a regular, or were you good at playing that off and letting it slide off your back?
Well, yeah, a little bit of both. Like you got, everyone,
everyone's talking. You're right.
Absolutely, and especially on the ice, you got
the chirping
you're
and stuff.
First rounder, and then when the boos start in your own rink, and then you're like, oh my God, now you got the whole world weighing down on your shoulder. I used to throw up before every game. Like, I'll be like, oh my God, I hope they don't boo me out of the building. Oh my God, my dad's here tonight. I hope they don't boo me. And that's, and you're kind of basically, well, what's going to happen when you start thinking like that?
Like you said, the manifestation.
They boo you. And oh man, I remember going to a game once. I'm like, just don't be minus. Just don't be a minus. Sure enough, I rip one off the glass. I go, there's no way anybody's grabbing this thing. Guy takes it down, boom, puts it right in front, goal. And I'm like, what in the -3 in the first period, and I'm getting booed out of the building, in my own home building.
No.
And but yeah, you got different times where, like, I had to fight that my first few years pro, and that was tough. Like, that was probably I go back and I go, that made me who I am today. Like, that struggle was like, nobody else understood the struggle. You're a first rounder, and I'm not saying, poor
woe is me. Yeah, no, I get that.
But that struggle, was like, wow. Like, if you can face this every day, wow. I got to go back and say and tap myself on the shoulder from a 20-year-old kid. You know what I mean? So that whole world, and then as I left and I got another chance with Toronto, and going down in the minors, it was like a fresh start. And sometimes these kids just need a fresh start somewhere else. Like, turn the page, go to another team, get traded, start a new
chapter.
New chapter. And I think that's where, new friends, new groups, you're not judged by the last game. You're now here you go, moving forward. And I think that's a lot of times, some guys stay in the system for 5-6 years, and they bury them down in the system. Where if you just let those guys go off somewhere else, right? Give them their 3-year deal, then go off, and try it somewhere else. So, I'm not really answering your question. So
no, but there's some good insight there.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna go to the Oilers now, and with this team coming up this season, we're one more preseason game and stuff.
Hallelujah, by the way.
Well, everyone's 8 games is a lot. At least there's a little break to get the taste out of your mouth of preseason hockey. But one of the conversation that's coming up a little bit with the Oilers is maybe 3 centers being McDavid, Draisaitl, Nuge. Are you guys in favor of that? Think the Oilers can make that work?
I don't. I think it depends on the competition that they're playing. Like when you say those names, I look at who are they going to probably face that is a comparable matchup, and I look at the Kings. Right, the Kings are probably the strongest down the middle with what they have with Kopitar now. What's the French? I'm losing. Deneau.
I got you.
And the other French guy.
Who's the other guy?
Dubois.
God, I'm losing all these names. Like that's
you don't like the French names.
You're in for Cats the next week. What's going on here?
It was a late night.
Coop, you want to do pre and post game as our analyst? Our other guys kind of faltering here.
But no,
you got it.
Good thing you got Dennis Bernstein.
Yeah.
For LA Kings.
I haven't done any pregame warm up for this.
I know.
No, I just that would be a good matchup between those guys, and maybe you have to implement that strategy, being that strong. And who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they're going to load up on one line, and you could see that. But I've always wanted them to go to the big 3 and distribute that ice time a little bit more evenly, and not be too line heavy, so to speak. I think that would suit them better throughout the whole 82 game schedule, but. Maddie, I don't think you're going to see it. I think you're just going to see 2 heavy lines and hope for the best with what you have in 3 and 4.
Speaking of fresh starts, like Coop was saying, how about Dubois kind of muscling his way into getting traded out of Columbus, getting his way out of Winnipeg? Like, I still look at the Kings, Gager, and I'm like, I feel like they were a better overall team prior to the trade. Unless Dubois just goes off, buys in, and becomes an 80-point player like he's probably capable of doing with his skill, size, and ability. But I guess
it's a paper-heavy team. We don't know what it's gonna. How that's gonna translate. But on paper, it looks amazing. I think, just with the big 3 centers of what they can do.
Cam Talbot and Phoenix Copley are their goalies.
And Copley played well last year, and we saw what Talbot was able to do here for one season. He hasn't been able to put it together since he left. He's had some good stints.
He had a good
time in Minnesota, wasn't it?
Yeah, good time in Minnesota until they got Fleury. He kind of brought his career back from the pits of darkness that is Philadelphia. And
maybe he just needs to have a complete shared workload.
Maybe.
He's a guy he's one of the downfalls that the Oilers had of 16-17 going to the playoffs was, I think after that year, Talbot played so much that season. Then the next year
starts, I think it was.
Yeah, and then the next season it just wasn't there. And maybe he's a guy that, with Copley and stuff, you split the net pretty evenly. Maybe you will get the best of Cam Talbot.
If they're good defensively too. I mean, I know Todd McClellan's really rigid with his systems play, but now they have offensive flair and they can take risks, and they don't have to be so 1-3-1 conscious in the neutral zone, because let them fly. You have these good offensive players. Why not?
When you played, did you play lots of just 60? Did you play 70? What did you prefer? Did you just 5D?
4. Get rid of the last 2, right?
No. Like with Broberg and stuff, like with Oilers did a lot of 11-7. What?
I don't get that. That totally.
Really?
Well, you're out of sync.
Okay.
As soon as you go 7, I've never understood that. Like from these coaches, they know better than playing 7.
Well, Dave Manson is the defense coach. So
then why have they had success with it?
Have they?
I feel like they've been a little bit of a better team 11-7 than generally when they're 12-6.
Yeah.
Or am I seeing that wrong?
Well, they're rolling out McDavid and Draisaitl every second shift on fourth line. And all of a sudden, that line's half decent because you got a superstar on it.
Going back to the 3 centers too. I mean, now what do you do? What does the time look like? You know, what's your shifts looking like when you got now distributed?
Fourth line's barely playing unless it's on the PK.
Yeah.
Right.
So would
I prefer 6? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
who
think
plays?
so.
Yeah, I just look like we're talking about Broberg a lot, especially in preseason here.
What are you splitting up that 5-6 now? Are they getting like each 7 minutes, 6 minutes now?
Well,
there got another.
There were some nights last year where Broberg would play like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can't have that moving
And he's
forward.
supposed to be developed first rounder from 2019.
That's not.
He's supposed to be.
Is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then here's the. I'll throw this at you, Coop, because you're left shot, right? Did you ever slide over and play right D?
Yeah.
How was that? Because now they're asking he's going to be doing that.
No, it's not easy, but yeah, for a high risk guy to go in and play the right side, yeah, you're gonna get it's tough.
What's the challenge?
You know, I think you're just so used to playing that. You're coming up that side, and you know, I found it for pivoting wise, like you're now on you're swinging your stick out here, you're pushing them wide. It might have been a little easier to defend, but when you have the puck and you're trying to see up ice, it's a different look than when you got it here and you're looking this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that there were some benefits to it, and at the same time when you're turning, now you got to turn and look up ice this way.
Yep.
Where a lot of guys now they can open up better than we did back in the day. Like some of these guys doing the Mohawks and the eagle turns are like, you're like, man,
It's incredible.
where was that back when we played? You know, like a little deception in there. But yeah, it was just kind of being able to open up and see that. Now you're looking this way. Where, so I think that's the most challenging. Playing your offside.
They're asking a lot from him, so
Yeah.
we'll see.
Especially a young guy too to step in. Like we usually, you know, you could throw Ekholm over there, or you know, back in the day you'd have Wolanski or you know these old guys that could play the right side. That you know, or a Schneider, or, you know,
Right?
Look at those names you're throwing out.
Oh,
Jeez.
yeah.
they're old names.
Schneider
eh?
was good. That Schneider
was good.
He was smooth.
Yeah.
Oh, he's smooth.
Was he? Did you pair up with him when you played in Toronto? Was he still there? Because I know he bounced around. He played for a lot of teams.
Yeah, he was mostly like the reason why I was there. He was injured. So, he was injured and single. So we used to go have some fun together. But
Oh God.
Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage, Dave Cooper, Matt Awanek with you here on the EST Hangout. 780-218-9999 is how you can get in touch with us, or in the nasty chat. This text does come in. Tommy G, you're completely right. They're weaker in goal without Korpisalo. This is on the LA Kings. They traded away guys that were absolute menaces against the Oilers. Dubois doesn't subtly make them a substantially better team. Copley unproven, Talbot inconsistent. Don't see them as the same threat they've been the last couple of years.
But you gotta see what they do, like paper heavy, like Gage said.
Is there?
That's just my feeling towards them going into the season.
There is some concern from, I think, some Oiler fans of meeting the LA Kings again for a third straight year because they've already beat them twice, and law of averages or whatever states that the Kings.
How many times did the Oilers beat the Jets in the 80s and early 90s?
So is that something people should be worried about, or like?
I think that's getting too much into the psyche of it, or superstition side.
Did that ever get in touch with, like? Did you guys ever have that where you seem to have a team's number?
Oh yeah. Throughout the year, there'd always be a team that you'd seem to always squeak out a win against. You go into their bill and they'd just be all over you, and you'd come out of there. I'd usually be brilliant or something like that. So.
Absolutely.
And then, but then there was the one team that had your number too. So there's the ebb.
Yeah, I think it played that part in your mind, right? Like
Yeah.
you knew, like, oh, we're going in. I don't want to play there.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You know, you're like, my grind's a little sore today. You always had that one
What team
team.
was that for you, Coop? You'd always be like, damn it.
I didn't like going into. Well, I remember junior days, Prince Albert. I'm like, I just can't stand this barn. You know what I mean? Like, you get on the bus and you're just like, oh, it's a 6-hour bus ride, and then we got to get. St. Albert. It's going to be a tough game, and we had the toughest team in the league 4 years running.
Yep.
No, and everyone will attest. Like you guys were so tough, and we did. We had Danny Kordick. We had you name it. We start from there, and by our 8th guy was still tougher than anybody's first. So we would go into St. Albert. We knew it was a battle, not St. Albert, Prince Albert,
yeah.
And it was a battle, and remember those days. But
was Modano in PA when you were there, or was that before you
that
got?
was just before.
Okay, yeah, because
the
it was
Linden
Todd Nelson.
Modano
Yeah.
days, yeah.
That's
But, I think that always plays a part in your mentally, like we're talking. Go back to Oilers Flames. You start the season. It doesn't matter if it's preseason or not. You start that way, and now it's set. You know.
Yeah, we lost the last time in this building. And so there's going to be someone on the team that's like that. For me, it was Kamloops Blazers. It was terrible going into that building with. You'd be on the bus for like 13
Scotty
Niedermeyer, just
Pirouettes
Sador. Their back end was ridiculous. What they had. Corey Hirsch was in net. They would just.
He wasn't bad, eh?
He was all right. Yeah. and the old War Memorial and the square corners. It was awful. You just wanted to get right back on the bus and go home.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're already behind the 8 ball somewhat before the game starts.
Yeah.
It's in the head.
It's in your mind.
But
So maybe that's in like if the Oilers do meet the Kings, the 2 playoff losses, like it could go one of 2 ways. Then I guess one, it can motivate you to be like, hey, we're not letting this happen a 3rd year in a row, or it might be like, oh, these guys again,
yeah.
and that might give the Oilers that advantage going into the series.
Well,
if that's what were to occur.
LA and Todd McLellan, from the day they lost a couple of years ago to the Oilers in Game 7, he was planning that past season to beat Edmonton. And
Well,
Edmonton
he
still
failed
beat
on that
them.
one.
Like, I think that the Oilers, they obviously, A, have their number, B, they're in the Kings' collective mind. So I
think they're in the Flames collective mind too, because a lot of people say that they destroyed Markstrom based on that playoff from the season prior to last.
That the year they beat him in the playoffs, they played Markstrom 9 times. They touched him up for 6 games.
Yeah. And then we saw what the Flames did last year, and like a lot, I think, on Daryl Sutter for that, and just not connecting with his players as much.
Talking to people from the Flames yesterday, they put a lot of it on Sutter.
And that's what you think. But also, I think there was a little bit of the Oilers completely decimated Jacob Markstrom, and that had a play in his head.
Yeah.
He'll be better this year, though.
He had a good year last year, though.
Yeah.
Like
we lost a
bounced
lot
back.
of 1-goal games.
They lost a lot of overtime games, 1-goal games. Yeah.
That plays in the psyche of a goalie too. Going up against a team that you can't beat as a goalie, that's really tough. You got to be really mentally strong, especially if they've had their way with you throughout, like Markstrom has.
Yeah.
Like you're trying to draw upon something, but all you see is Connor ripping it, and you know where the shots are coming from, and it's constant. That'll be fun. That'll be a fun thing to watch and see what happens.
Do you guys watch Connor ever and wonder how you guys would do up against him?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah. I have a very inflated ego of myself, but not so much as before. When I first quit playing, I still thought I was pretty good, but I wasn't. But when I see like the goal he scored again, like over the shoulder and stuff like that, I can't imagine actually watching the game. It looks so scary to me to be out there. I would be scared to death the way these guys can shoot the puck from distance without. I mean, Coop's slapper, he had a cannon, but it took like 5 minutes to get that thing off. So
Tickling the rafters, Coop.
But no, this the way that the speed and how now they use their sticks to with their shot with the wrist shots and the. I think I told this story before, but I remember when I was down in the minors, I came back up, and synergies and one pieces, everyone had their one pieces and stuff, and we were playing that little game, that rebound game. Like there's a few guys on the side, one guy shoots, and if it goes to the boards, we get a point. If they score, they get like 2 passes before they can shoot or whatever it is. Yeah. And Anson Carter was shooting, and Anson could shoot the puck, right? It wasn't, but he blew 10 past me and that was unheard of. But I couldn't pick up the puck with these sticks.
Really?
Yeah, like even Hork, that he didn't have a great shot, but I remember the first drill,
Horrible shot.
horrible shot. But he came down with this synergy and roofed it from like just inside the tops of the circles on the angle, and I was like, holy smokes! And I think I went up to him and I said, man, Hork, that's you've really worked hard on that shot. Good, but it was these sticks. Even Billy Moores. Remember Billy Moores was great, man.
Billy Moores is a great guy.
Just an awesome dude.
Yeah.
So Billy Moores got his synergy. I remember when he got his, and it said Moores, and he was showing everybody in the dressing room. It was just classic. But he used to do at the end of practice, ringing the puck around the board so guys could pick it up, like get used to it, right? And so he's been on the net and he's ripping it around. No one can pick it up because Billy's all of a sudden putting a little bit more mustard with this synergy on there, and he's behind the net just he's loving it because he's ripping it past these guys. So those sticks were a nightmare because everyone's shot. The guys that had killer shots, it even went higher, and the guys that maybe you could get a read on a little bit more, their shots became way more deceiving and tougher to stop.
Did Ryan Smith ever try? Because I know by the end of his career, he's still using a 2-piece.
Yeah.
I was like, Smitty, using... He's like, I love it. I love it. And I'm like, okay, weird.
I never used. I never got into the.
Yeah,
the new,
he was always old school.
Still wood sticks.
Wow.
Geez, I finished playing wood sticks. Never got into the. Now I'm all about the science, but like those sticks, they were always I found it stick handling was tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you could shoot the puck, but you couldn't handle the puck.
Right.
And then I never adjusted.
Because when was your last year, Coop?
2008. So
that would have been because Synergies came in around like 2001. So you said no, I'm good. I'm sure they gave you something. I can't do it.
I tried. Tried and
like the way they've evolved even now, it's incredible. But you're right. Yeah. Like that was the big thing is that you can't handle the puck as good. This is 20 years ago now. Jeez, 20 plus. But the shots are insane. Now you see these kids and the way they toe drag and they can do anything with it, and they're just so used to it.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I played in Sweden, every team is sponsored by, it seemed like one company. We were CCM, and we all got, and this is the technology of the sticks weren't where they should have been at this point. And we had practice, and our coach skated us because no one could take a pass or make a pass because it came off these, everyone could shoot great with them. But as soon as that puck hit the blade, it was just blowing up and going crazy because no one could. They were just too. There was no feel with them. You couldn't. It was it was a weird reference in there, but you couldn't feel the puck on your stick.
Not a problem anymore, evidently, as well. Matty, go ahead.
Oh, like, just do you guys ever actually just think back that like so many people want to play in the National Hockey League and they never get the chance? Do you guys ever think back to like, or just like, does it ever hit you still? I was in the show. Does that ever come up at all?
We talk about it sometimes, like, but we're usually 6 beers deep, and I say we used to do that, Coops, and laugh about. It's
because like that's the dream for so many people. You, Tommy, dreamt of probably playing in the National Hockey League. I'm assuming,
not
right?
Good enough, not fast enough, not big enough, strong enough.
Oh, did you have 8 things too that you didn't make it?
Yeah, blew out her knee. So every excuse
Bobby
in the
Stauffer
book.
there.
Thank you. But like so many
reference.
people, like how many Canadians every year hope that they can make the NHL and they don't, and you guys did it.
Yeah.
Does that ever hit you?
Coops.
Oh, well, that's a Gager question.
Oh.
No,
Because you're pretty nonchalant.
You think about it. You always go, well, and it comes in your head too. Well, I should have played 700 games.
Yeah.
So even now you're always striving for more, and back then you're like, oh man, it's a hard thing to do, to be able to stay up in the National Hockey League and have a career in the like.
Well, it's hard to just get one game though. Like Ken Reid wrote a book on people that only played one game in the National Hockey League. I think that was one of his books that he had. Like that's hard to.
Was it a good book?
I actually haven't picked it up and read it.
No.
I haven't gotten on to that one.
Guys that have played one game. I want to write a book about this. No one's going to read it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem is I was saying, I just want to play one game.
Yeah.
And I played that one game. Well, how about two? And you just kind of, it snowballed. Hey, I could really get you. This is great. I'm actually doing it. I remember, the first exhibition game, I think it was in Winnipeg, in the old Winnipeg Arena. And I couldn't believe I was playing against like Solani and Kachuk and, and I think it was, what was his name? Eastwood.
Mike Eastwood.
Mike Eastwood. I don't remember the whole game, obviously, but I remember just bits and pieces.
Hey, you got a stick.
Yeah. Well, he was taking a draw, and it just, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, in Hockey Night in Canada, I remember them talking about Eastwood, really good on draws, had that weird paddle, and he just snapped it right back to Newmelin or whatever. And, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's true. So it's kind of funny that little things like that I remember. But,
oh my God, it's true. I love that.
yeah, no, it's when you that first season of being and going to the rinks, like playing in the odd, playing against Hasek, going to, even it was the United Center in Chicago, but it still wasn't the old Chicago Stadium, but it was the United Center, right? And
The house Jordan built.
It just Dusty's favorite basketball player. It's unbelievable that. The problem is sometimes with you can't look at it as a failure, and sometimes I do. Like I go,
You're just too competitive then. I guess. Like because I always look at pro athletes and think they're some of the most competitive people on the planet because you can't get there without being uber competitive.
No.
Right.
So then that just sticks with you
trying to
guys.
use the
Then.
fog to score on me. Like that's how freaking competitive this guy.
But
Does it bother you didn't score on him on that shot?
Oh, I wish it would have went.
He scored a terrible. I remember all my buddies that scored on me. He scored an awful goal on me in St. John's. I don't know if you remember this, but
I remember.
He basically dumped it in, and it was.
That was a cannon.
Yeah,
that went off the. You know when you hit that sweet spot, and you're like, oh, that's that's it.
Yeah, and he
you
blew
had
it
it
by
right.
me. And you did the 50-goal man skate past the bench afterwards too. That was pretty brutal. That made me feel real bad, but well.
Gave you the story to tell many years later.
Yeah. So it's brutal because all my buddies they always seem to score on me when I played against them. Like I got another great buddy in town here. We should have him in, Shane Peacock.
Peaks. His daughter's on.
Yeah. So Peacock. It's funny because two of my best friends were both D-men. So obviously a goalie, I got to have D-men around it. But Peaks, he was a dynamic hockey player.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
He was unbelievable.
He was unreal. Like in Hamburg, I hated it because he would blow it past me every game. He was diving in backdoor.
He was the one guy that really was that deceptive defenseman before anybody else.
Yeah.
That I remember.
Yeah.
He had it, and he wasn't fast, but he could he'll look you off and just do those things that you see nowadays, right?
Right.
Like he was so advanced and ahead of his time when it came to that. And he always says, "Well, if I played now, I think a lot of us, if we played now compared to back then, when it was just all right, we're gonna go muck it up."
Yeah, there's a lot of mucking it up back then.
So we went to Notre Dame together, and Peacock we were 14 years old. He was a middle linebacker playing on the football team. I was sitting on the bench at that point, but hockey started after Thanksgiving at Notre Dame. So we would do something else, whatever, and then hockey started. But because Peacock was playing football, he didn't come out to tryouts that much. This was Bantam AAA. Mm-hmm. And so we're going through just like kind of a training camp. There's cuts and things like that. And finally, we're getting down to the last few cuts, and Peacock comes out to the AAA practice. And I was like, how's this guy get to come out to the big group? He hasn't been here. I remember being upset. And then someone came across me, and Peacock blows up this kid, like shin pads, helmet, everything. I go, oh, okay, that's why. And the next year, he went to Lethbridge, was playing regularly as a 16-year-old.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And just dominating. He was one of...
He was the like I tell him too. I go, between you and Niedermeyer,
Yeah.
Who was better?
Yeah. At that point, there's a guy that
Couldn't skate like Needs,
no.
but still he could. He really like.
Both of you guys should have had about at least 500 games in the NHL. That's what I think.
Oh boy. Going back to your one game, I was thinking, and when I was a kid, when I was 10, I was in Winnipeg, Jets, and my dad was in the RCMP, so we had this big function at the officers' mess, and Dave Elliott's there and Dale Hawerchuk.
Oh wow!
And I'm 10 years old, got the picture, and I take this picture back home, and every night dream every night, like, I don't know, until I was 12 or whatever, just going, I just want to play with Dave Elliott, Dale Hawerchuk, stallmates. That's what we were going to be, stallmates. And I just want one game. That's all I want. So as I'm telling this story, I'm telling one of my buddies way back. And anyway, so I end up, when I'm 18, guess who my stallmate is?
Dave Elliott.
In Buffalo.
Oh,
Dale Hawerchuk.
Dale Hawerchuk. Oh,
no
wow.
way.
And then fast forward 5 years, and I'm in Toronto, and my stallmate, Dave Elliott.
So what happened?
You never told me this story. That's amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
Like, you think about manifestation, like how this all comes, and it doesn't come exactly the way I picture it all. I'm Winnipeg Jets. I'm playing for the Jets. I mean, like, so weird. And then I tell my buddy this story. Why'd you only wish for one game?
Yeah. Maybe I should have said 250.
I want 500.
Oh man!
But I remember one game I was back in Vancouver, and it was great because we ended up winning and stuff. And I think I was even first star. And I walked out, and there must have been 50 people outside. What was it? It wasn't Pacific Coliseum, but GM Place at that point.
It was GM Place.
And some of my best buddies growing up, and we went for beers with a bunch of my friends, and we were sitting around and talking, and everyone was like, "Man, Joaquin, you did it. You made it. You really." And we all played hockey with one another, and they were like, "How did you do it?" And I said, "Well, didn't you guys? I just said I was going to one day play in the NHL." And I went around. It was 5 guys that were great hockey players as kids, and not one of them said that they were going to play in the NHL. Although they loved playing hockey,
Sure.
but I never told myself that. And I was like, oh, so there is something to it. Like I was that kid that, in the Tim Hortons commercial, sitting 2 feet from the TV, saying, "Yeah, that's what I want to do. That's the coolest thing on the planet."
Yeah. It really is. And again, to Maddie's point, we're all very envious and jealous of being able to do it.
It's just something like everyone, there's going to be 18,000 people at Rogers Place next Saturday wishing they could be on that ice. And you guys have did that.
Yeah. But not today. Maybe I would.
Coop, what was Dale Hawerchuk like? Speaking of a legend, like was he a good dude, or were you just the quiet rookie? Be like, hey,
yeah, he was kind of quiet.
Yeah,
great guy, but quiet. Didn't back then no one seen not heard. Hey, that was very very well.
Yeah,
like you're a rookie.
Yeah,
you don't talk.
Tread lightly.
Yeah.
Was it different when you got to Toronto? Because by then you're a little bit older, still a young up and comer.
Still young, but no, I mean Toronto was you just didn't learn not to talk. Right? Yeah, hey, I'm here. I'm not gonna rock any.
Yeah, you're not rocking the boat.
No, and
there's probably more media. In
Dougie Gilmore starts
room,
talking, you sit and listen and smile and.
Yeah, that was an unwritten rule. There's a respect that you have for the vet. If you came in like guns a-blazing and stuff, I don't know how that would work. That wouldn't work back in the day.
I still don't think it fully works nowadays.
No.
Geez, we used to jump up like you're in the physio with the therapist and that, and somebody comes in like Wendell comes in, he's got a bad back. You don't have to say, "Coop, get up." Like I'm already bounced up. Okay, what am I doing in here, right? Like,
I don't think I even touched the massage table. Like, cause
Well, true. See, I was different. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm
Just a
milking
little-
everything.
just the shoulders are a little pressed.
Dave likes the finer things in life.
Speak that was one of the things. Yeah, the massage table. You were like, there was a list, and you'd see like, well, Waite, Guerin, Greer, Gator, and then you were like, Gage? No,
a lot of G's right there. I love it.
You put a question mark beside your own name.
no. And it was like, I'm tired, Joaquin. Hey, no problem. I'll just go to the Evelyn Charles.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
Or downstairs. I didn't know this place probably existed.
Yeah, well,
Oh, it wasn't.
Go
there.
in
was
there.
Mead Hall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mead
Mead
Hall.
Hall.
The Mead Hall.
Play some.
This
some
was a
great
metal
music.
bar, Coop, back in the day.
Oh, yeah?
apparently. Yeah.
Oh, Coops knows that. Jesus.
Oh, you were here.
No, not this far west. I don't.
This text, a couple texts I want to get to in the inbox. 780-218-9999. Parish Jewelers inbox. Love the Hangout show. Awesome to hear these stories. These guys are legit world-class athletes for being able to play at that high of a level. Keep up the great work. And then Parker has texted in. Ryan
Parker?
Yeah, well, I'm assuming it just says it's Parker.
Oh, okay.
I think that's going to be Dave Parker, cameraman of Ryan Rashog. Just going back to the Sphere quickly. He just goes, long-time listener, first-time texter. So thanks. Keep texting him, Parker.
Thanks, Parker. See you
Great
later.
show, guys. The Sphere, incredible. Been to Vegas over 20 times and sick of it. The Sphere makes me need to go back, all caps of need. I've watched so many posts of the opening U2 concerts. So there's a guy who's been to Vegas many times,
Yes,
and it's
Parker's a world traveler.
That
Great
would be-
cameraman.
the best.
Videographer. Probably the best I've ever worked with, for sure. I've worked with a lot of videographers. He is the creme de la creme, as you know.
Yeah.
Is there venues you guys want to go visit still? Like to go
I
see a
want to go
sporting
to
event
Europe,
in
man.
something?
Like these guys talk about playing in Europe. I just want to go there. I went to Helsinki for the 2012 World Championships. That was cool to see how they appreciate and take in hockey. Like they're very, very passionate. It's their national sport too. But I want to go to Germany and Czech Republic and see these cities and the culture and the history, and then maybe see a hockey game. Like that would be great. That'd be like the icing on top. But like you guys got to live it. The other thing too, like I don't know if Gage, I think you said you used to do this a little bit. I don't know if you did at Coop, but when you had little like windows of days off, I don't think there's probably a ton of those, but hop on a train and go to another country.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Just the concept of that, because we're here in Alberta. It's 3 hours to Calgary if you want to drive there. If you want to go to Saskatoon for whatever reason, it's 5.5, 6. Vancouver, 12, 13 hours. Like
90-minute flight.
Yeah, you're in a different country with a different history, like in a matter of minutes. I don't know how much you did that, but I'm envious of that element too as I get older.
Yeah, we lived up in Italy there. It was like we're close to Austria, Slovenia. We'd take off on a Friday night, or I guess it'd be more like a Sunday after a game. Take off to Slovenia, and they'd have a big casino there, and we'd go there, and that's where we kind of party, and then come back, and you're in two different countries, right? Like Austria, we'd go there and go to the grocery store and come back to Italy and with your food and everything like crazy stuff like that. So it's wild to live, in those places and see all the different culture and
experience it all.
Well, I can see why he loved Copenhagen, because I was in Germany at the time and we kept in touch, and then you get those breaks. So those like the German Cup or the Sweden hockey games, the national teams played, so that whole thing. So the one time I just said, hey, can we come up? And so I went, we went up.
It's a Christmas time or?
No, I think it was after.
Well, that was a different one.
It was after, Christmas in Iserlohn, but we were in the same.
Well, Christmas we in Italy too. We spent with you.
Oh, you came in Italy. Yeah, you came. He spent Christmas with us in Italy the one year, and then when you were in Copenhagen, that was before
too.
Iserlohn,
and then Copenhagen.
So it was cool to have buddies. Like, sometimes we played in the same league, but then he was in a different country in a different league, and we went up and spent a week in Copenhagen, which was. It was where you lived. It was great because you're just kind of on the outside, and then you just ride the bikes in, and it was
immerse yourself in the culture. Like Struddy talks about how he's a Swedish hockey player now, or a Swedish defenseman. Did you embrace any European culture? Were you wearing scarves indoors? like the way Struddy has embraced European and Swedish style?
No, I
knew
was
the answer
never
was
as
no.
cool as Struds back in the day. So
Yeah.
I got a hard time even picking up any sort of language. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, how can you not get this? Was ist los? That's the best I could do in Germany. And I played a lot. I lived there for a long time. But just to embrace it all. You try to learn the language. You try to learn everything that, and kind of mimic everything they do. It was a great experience. But anywhere in Europe, I think we had. How many years did we
had about together? 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was good, man. I like the coffee shops. The one thing about Italy that was frustrating at the start was
Watch your mouth.
They shut everything down though.
In the afternoon.
Yeah.
So it reminds me too. I remember this when I was in Munich. I was dating this girl from Munich, and I was from Berlin, so I would do a quick, zip, and it's 6 hours our time.
Yep.
3 hours driving on the Autobahn, right? So you can get there pretty quick.
Yeah.
But we'd be sitting there in a coffee shop, and Munich, like there's people from everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
She would sit there and tell me where, and without a doubt, like I got to the point where like she'd be like, oh, that's so and so. That's a Russian. That's that one's from Czech. This one's from.
How did she pick up on that?
So I have to get and I go like, man, you could be right. And then I start, go up, and it became a game, and I go talk to people. I said, where are you from? Sure enough, she'd be right. It was unbelievable. How do you know? Like you can just recognize the way someone looks.
Yeah.
And they're from that place. It was crazy. Anyways.
Did she tell you like how she picked? Was it like body language, attitude?
I don't know.
Being in those major cultural centers.
I guess because Italian. Oh no, that one's from Austria, and you're like, but everybody's so close and around. Like we look at it in European, you're like, well, I don't know if he's from Slovakia.
Right.
But,
right. But that's kind of neat, actually.
I heard in Italy, if you are in a place that's open between like 12 and 1, it's a tourist spot. It's not for the locals because the locals shut down for lunch.
Yeah, they go home.
And they go home and they drink wine and have lunch.
Yeah.
And then they go back to work, and then they finish their day, and then they go home and go for just strolls, and then.
Because as a hockey player, you think you're busy, all right? So you might have to go to the bank to send money home from Europe, right? It takes 5 minutes. But
I hated those days.
I got to go to the bank today. And you couldn't. Like the banks were closed for like 5 hours. And then they'd open up at like 7:30 to 9 at night.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. But really, after submersing myself, we'd work out, and then I'd go to a coffee shop. The coffee shops were open in the afternoon. You could go have a coffee. So,
is it a coffee or espresso? Like, is it the quick shot of espresso, or because do they have the drip coffee?
Oh yeah, but you could get any time. But I would.
You go to one of those internet cafes.
Yeah.
And you go in there and you go, I'm on the computer, and I'd be playing Hearts, and then next thing you know, it's like 60 euros, and I go, what the? So every day it was like 60 euros to go in and just play on the computer.
Hanging at a cafe.
Yeah.
One thing that stood out to me in Helsinki, walking around there, was how we go to patios here, you sit outside and everybody's facing in on the table. In Helsinki at the coffee shops and some of the restaurants, the seats, the table would be between the chairs and the seats face towards the sidewalk and the street. Was it like that in Italy and Germany too? And I was like, so you could watch people passing by, and then you would casually converse with whoever you're with this way, as opposed to everybody facing in. And I was like, whoa, I don't mind that. It's kind of neat. Was it like that there, or was this a strictly Helsinki, Finland thing?
There was a few places in Brunico where I was. There was a few places that was like picnic seating, right?
Yeah.
Like I lived in a ski village, so we would a lot of the times just go up to the top of the hill and like you'd be sitting there and someone would come sit right beside you, right? Like there was the personal space, but it was fine. Like you'd say hey or whatever, and everyone was really friendly. Italy was like that. Germany was a little bit different. The people, they were polite, but it was weird. Like if you,
Coop,
no, if
is it? Can you confirm this?
They
Keep going.
like if you
Yeah.
if like usually here, if you walk on a sidewalk, there's only one other person. You would say hi.
Yeah.
Right. Germany,
Smile.
you didn't. You smile or something. Germany, they think you had 3 heads if you did that. It was, it was weird. Like they just the greetings of people that you don't know was kind of it from here to there. It was night and day.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Well, gents, appreciate you stopping by. That's the hangover for today.
Yeah. Cool.
We
Did you
like
like
that?
that?
Good. That was awesome.
Yeah.
It just flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
People are
this
really
guy's-
enjoying that.
This guy's one of my
chat.
oldest friends. Thanks for coming, buddy.
Thanks for
I
having
can't,
me.
how could you be
Thanks-
friends with
thanks,
this guy
buddy.
for that long?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time
Since McDonald's in Montreal.
after the draft. That was a good night. Good night.
01. So that's ZerOne.ca. I like how that it's the combined of 0 and 1 starting.
Yes.
So ZerOne.ca for more information on 01. Coming up next here on Edmonton Sports Talk, it is the Lock Shop. Haas, Nielsen, and I think Pat Gregoire will be by on that, getting you set for Thursday Night Football tonight. And then, Gager, you're back at noon with Cassian and Dusty for 2 guys and a goalie as they'll recap that big 7-2 win from yesterday in preseason action.
Thanks to David Muddle for coming in as well. For
Absolutely. Dave, who I took his chair. I think he had to go do some business, so
Yes.
he went out and...
Coop, it sounds cool what you guys are doing with 0-1. Any final words on that?
No, hey, we got a great team there. Lots of great guys. You know, Sean McTavish,
Yep.
of course, and lots of great guys involved. So, yeah, I think it's we're excited. We want to, we
Change
looking
hockey.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be sure to check that out. Reminder that we will just redirect you to the Lock Shop, so stay on your YouTube video. Make sure the autoplay is moved to the right side, and it'll just take you right over to the Lock Shop. That's coming up next. Tom Gazzola, Joaquin Gage, Dave Cooper, Matt Iwanek. Thanks for tuning in to the Hangout on this Thursday. We'll chat with you tomorrow.